Hello, welcome, Marlon here. It's officially time to panic. If you haven't done anything for your mom yet, it's coming this weekend. I have a really fun cookie bouquet for you guys today, a tea-themed cookie bouquet. And what's awesome about this particular project is it can really be adapted to your skill level. If you're more advanced, you can really go really detailed on the teapot and teacups. If you're more of a beginner, you can use stencils and you can keep it a little bit more basic. And if you're not a super fan of this one, I created a really fun baking themed cookie bouquet last week, and you'll find the link to that one in the description box. And now on to today's tea-themed cookie bouquet. These cookies were actually ice cream cones. I just trimmed off the cone right here. It made kind of a little bit of a taller cupcake. And I filled in here where my stick is just so that my icing wouldn't concave there. And I've got some light kind of like violet, lavenderish purple, and I'm just outlining and flooding the bottom of the cupcake liner. And I'm not sure how much I'm going to decorate this area. These are kind of just fill cookies. They're not too big. I'm just going to fill in the gaps on my bouquet. It's important to fill that stick area. If you don't, you will get some caving where the stick is there. The icing falls in there and it creates a bit of a dent. Not a huge deal, but if you're a perfectionist, you might want to just take 2 seconds to do that step. I decided to airbrush these for a little bit of added interest. So you can see here I've got a stick. So thankfully with this particular stencil holder, I can only have 3 sides. So it's holding my stencil in place there. And I'm just going to lightly mist there. Here is a much more elaborate and time-consuming cupcake. I don't know that it's really cuter than this one. Here I have a cupcake piping tip, and I'm just going to ice this quite similarly to what I would do on a cupcake. Starting here, I'm hiding the end and I'm going over like that, and then pulling to create the point there. And then over my sprinkles, I'm just adding that in a coordinating color to my liner. And there is my little cupcake. Here's the teapot. I added some guidelines to just help me get my icing on quickly. And I like this design because I can kind of add, a decorative element without having to paint the whole thing. You can stencil, you could do so many things right here. So it's really up to you what you kind of want to personalize this with. There's so many options. You could actually, if you're making this for grandma, well, you could have the children come in and draw on this section. Depends how much of a control person you are with regards to your cookies. But sometimes a little touch from the kids can be cute. They'll feel like they got to participate in grandma's gift. If you have certain colors in mind, just give them those colors and limit them to those, that color palette, and then you can come in and fill in the rest. So you can beautify their scribbles with the rest of the cookie. And we want this to be completely dry since I'm planning on airbrushing this. I don't want my surface to get messed up. So we need this to be smooth and dry. Working on the cups. So you need to have the same kind of section as the teapot. I've added guidelines. It takes the guesswork out. And I'm just filling in the center of this cup. We need this to dry so that when we come in and finalize it, we don't damage the surface. Here's my cookie. The icing is dry. I'm trying to airbrush. It's tricky because the stick, I can't put my whole stencil in the holder. So I've just got it kind of resting on the surface here, and I'm going to lightly dust that. I'm actually going to try and do a 2-color design. I'm hitting the middle in the purple here. I'm resting the stencil, centering it. And a light misting of the purple down the middle. And now I'm going to put some navy blue in my airbrush. I'm just going to finalize at the top. Stay away from the purple. Let's see. So I'm getting like a fade. Now that I've airbrushed, I can come in and fill in the rest of the cookie. I'm using the same blue as I airbrushed with. I actually colored my icing with the airbrush color. I added the liquid airbrush color to my icing before the water. Because it's quite liquidy, it did impact the consistency, and so then I just added less liquid to create my flow icing. And then I was sure to have an exact match with my airbrush color. I'm just filling the top and the bottom. I'm going to wait on the handle. I want it to be a little bit on the outside of the cup. I'm just going to let this crust a bit before moving on to my next elements. Moving along with the teapot, at the top here I'm adding some white just to break up all this dark blue. I'm just filling in this area here. And then I'm going to do the spout on the teapot in the same blue. Okay, and now I'm grabbing my gray, which I will paint silver later, and I'm just adding a little silver detail, well, gray detail now right here. There. And at the bottom, I'm just dotting. Like my cups, I've added a little dot edge, so I'm just doing that here. And I'm going to finalize the lid with some silver, but I need to wait till this dries. Here, let's do this here though. We can do this. There. Putting the handle on the cup now. So I'm just outlining the edge of the cookie and eyeballing the inside, and then a little dollop of icing there, and let's just fill this in. And I'm just finalizing the handle here, running low on icing. It's trickier to pipe, trying to squeeze the rest of the icing to the end there. So I'm outlining the outer perimeter there, and then the inner line. And there. And let's just fill all this. And I'm just going to shape it a bit with my needle and get it to heal. And once this has a bit of time to crust over, I'm going to add a silver line on that as well. I'm just going to finalize over here, adding my silver detail right here, like so, at the edge of the teapot here, the spout, at the seam of the lid. And then once the handle has a bit more time to dry, I'm going to add a little swirl there, and we'll be about done. Just a few lines on the handle here. There we go. I think that's about it. And once this has had time to dry, I'm going to paint my little details in silver. Cookies have had time to dry, and now I'm just running over my gray sections with some silver luster dust and adding a bit of sparkle to the tea set. So this part is a bit tricky. You're going to have to sit down and take a moment if you want to do this step. So you just have to lightly pass a brush with the luster dust over the gray sections, and it's not, you know, you don't have to do it, but it does add a special little touch to the teacups. Fancy teacups tend to have a little metallic element on there. Now for the spoons, I wasn't sure how I was going to attach them onto the cookie. Now you don't want to have them past the bottom because that's going to be going in the container. So like this maybe, I'm just going to add a bit of icing to the back. You don't want to add too much because it will ooze out and show at the front. There. So just like that. And that'll be fine when I add that to the bouquet. There's my teapot, and my cookies will be on either side like so. Here's the completed bouquet. I think a nice addition to this would be some real tea, some actual tea, perhaps some sugar cubes that were decorated and put in a nice clear cello box, perhaps a tea accessory, some sort of little dish to put your tea bag or things like that that you could add. And the container can be part of the gift as well. They sell so many kind of cute storage containers or baskets that you could include. So these little additions won't be very pricey, but it really adds to the gift. They get to save them after, and who knows, maybe they won't even eat the cookies. They'll just leave them on the shelf as decoration. So many times we hear they're too beautiful to eat. So if you enjoyed the video, give it a thumbs up. Be sure to share it with your friends. Don't forget to subscribe so you don't miss any future uploads. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you next time.